Thank you so much, Sue. Thank you for the introduction and thank you so much for inviting us here today. And I'm going to just kind of talk a little bit about the Brazelton approach and why it's important to really focus on that uh, really early period of time. And then hopefully Stephanie will talk a little bit about the implementation and how it's used by midwives. So just to kind of set the scene, I want to really emphasize the importance of the first 1001 days, which again is something that we hear a lot about, and that's because it's what we call age of opportunity. We know that by age 2, a child's brain is about 80 to 90% the size of an adult brain. So there's enormous growth in that 1001 days. And during that time, millions of neural connections are formed, each influenced by the child's environment. But what's actually needed is these positive nurturing experiences which set the stage for the development for all kinds of abilities, but particularly development of cognitive abilities, emotional regulation, and learning capacity. So this is a time where foundations are laid for lifelong emotional, social, and physical well-being. And this period of time, the impact of it really does have lasting benefit for individuals, families, and society. So it's really something that we want to focus on. So at the Brazelton Centre, we narrow it down to even further. We narrow it down to the first 100 days. So the approaches that we deliver training in are delivered in the first 3 months of the baby's life. That is corrected age, though. And the reason for focusing on that period is because we know that it's a period of great vulnerability for the baby, for the parents, and the baby's family system. There are so many transitions going on. The baby needs to transition to an outside world. The parents has to transition to a new role and looking after a baby. But it's also what Professor Kevin Newton calls a period of great opportunity for clinicians. And I just want to share his quote. He says, "For clinicians who work with children and families, the newborn period and the first months of life may well be the teachable moment per excellence because it is a major transition period in the life of the child, in the life of the parent, and indeed in the life of the whole family." So I kind of just want to give a little bit of reasoning also. I mean, Dr. Brazelton, when he developed the first the neonatal behaviour assessment center, scale, which was quite a long time ago now in 1973, and he spent many years developing that. He already knew how important this time was, and he knew how amazing newborn babies were. This is now backed up, and this interview here with Dr. Bruce Perry, who's a psychiatrist and neuroscientist, is being interviewed here by Oprah Winfrey, and I'm not going to play it, but it is available on YouTube. So Dr. Perry has studied, particularly for decades, the impact of trauma on the baby's brain. And what the longitudinal research has actually shown now is that the most crucial period of time for an infant is the first 2 months of life. So the first 2 months of life, if they're good enough, then no matter what happens later on in their life, they seem to manage it better. Whereas a baby that has 2 not good time in the first couple of months, no matter how good that life is, after the 2 months, they will always do worse than the baby that had 2 good months. So this really emphasized the importance of us really intervening early and supporting that early relationship. So perfect for midwives. See every single baby that comes into this world, so there is no more a better time to really support that relationship. The 2 graphs here I think are really important as well, because it just shows the adaptability of the baby's brain. We can see that it's so adaptable And there's a huge ability to change in response to their experience in the first few months, and then actually making a change, how difficult that is, the amount of effort change takes as that baby gets older. And the little graph in the left-hand side just shows the cost if we don't support that really early relationship and get it right for these babies. So our focus at the Brazelton Centre is the relationships. So the focus is to support and strengthen the parent-infant relationship from birth, and particularly through the lens of the baby's contribution to that relationship. And I'll talk a little bit more about that. So the Brazelton approach is about believing babies are active participants in the world and their relationships. We see a baby's behavior as their communication, the expression of who they are as a person and their needs. Understanding the meaning of different behaviors are really important, and the individual ones. And the approach is always to be open, curious observer of babies and responding to what they're telling us. So the Brazelton approach is not really giving sort of advice. If a parent come and say, I'm really worried about their crying, we don't start giving advice on crying. We actually listen to the parents, and then we listen to the baby by saying, okay, let's have a look at your baby together and see what they're telling us. And then we explore what that baby might be trying to tell us, what it is that might be a bit difficult for them, what they need to change, or how they need to be co-regulated. And again, I need to just share this little quote by Dr. Brazelton, who says, a baby's behavior is his language, and you can always trust that language. And that's why if you're ever in doubt about what is happening somewhere, just go and have a look at that baby, and also never forget to listen to the parents, because they do know their babies. So why is behavior so important? So understanding a baby's behavior enables us to see and understand their world, the things they like and the things they need support with. So it's strengths-based, but we're also very much observing any sensitivities, difficulties, or what they're working really hard on. So at the Brazelton Centre UK, we have training programs which help practitioners understand baby behaviour and gain the knowledge, skills and confidence to share baby with his or her parents. So here you can see the NBAS and the NBO. The NBAS, the Neonatal Behavioural Assessment Scale, was developed by Dr. Brazelton in 1973, and it is today still the most comprehensive neurobehavioural assessment available for newborn babies. And it's mostly used in VSETs and clinical settings. The NBO, the Newborn Behavior Observation, was developed by Professor Kevin Newton, a psychologist, and it's a relationship building tool which is designed to help the practitioner and parent observe the baby's unique behaviors. And it's suitable to be used across any setting. It can be used by anyone who works with babies and with all babies, no matter what, and it's used all over the world. So interestingly, Sue, as you were saying, if we think back, and actually my background is a health visitor, and I always had parents asking me, can he hear, see, can they hear, what can they do? They don't really do anything. And that was the kind of view for many years. And sadly, I think it's still here. And the work that Dr. Brazelton and many of his colleagues did back in the 60s, 70s, even 50s, actually showed us that babies are indeed incredibly competent, and they learn through all their senses. They're organized, so they have 6 different behavioral states that they move in and out of. They're social. We all know when you hold that baby that they are little connectors from the moment they get into the world. But as they got their connectors out, it's really important there's somebody else who's got their connectors out, because there need to be a transition there. And if they don't have that connection, they soon start sort of going down. We know that every single baby is individual, and I'm sure Stephanie will agree with me that when you do the MBIS or the MBO, it's just incredible. I have done thousands. I've never seen two babies that are the same, and that's taught me to always be open when I go and see a family and a baby. I don't know this baby till I have really observed them and listened to them, and kind of also listened to the parents. So a little brief zoom in on the MBO. We always say all behavior has a meaning. So there's no such thing as a random behavior. If a baby turns their head away, it's probably because they're taking a little break. If they're having any color changes or they start changing states, it all means something. Putting a hand up, whatever it is. Little babies cross their legs in order to contain themselves sometimes. They have so many ways of communicating. But what we actually look at is a lot of the things that most parents worry about. We look at sleep. So we look at habituation, the particular capacity of a baby to protect their sleep from the kind of disturbing environment. We look at their behavioral state, motor tone, activity level, and reflexes, which shows us how they're adapting, what are their movements like, how do they manage handling. We look at self-regulation because babies do have capacity to self-regulate. But the important thing here is to recognize when they need co-regulation, because they do. They can't just self-regulate. They need us. We look at the baby's response to stress. Stress for a baby can be waiting for a feed, not being changed, being understimulated, being overstimulated, being cold, too warm, having a bright light in their face, having a noise that they can't shut out. It can be all sorts of different things, but the babies will tell us if there's something that's uncomfortable or difficult for them. And then, of course, we look at the interactive social capacities that the babies have, and they are amazing. They really are just so capable. So what we are kind of talking about is looking at the infant as a catalyst. So this might sound a little bit crazy, but we do strongly believe from all the observations and interactions we've had with babies that they are very capable of telling us exactly what they need from their caregivers. But you need to stop, you have to watch, you have to listen, you have to wonder, and then respond to what it is that that baby is telling us. If we do, we're more likely perhaps not to get it quite right. So the aim of the MBO is really to capture what the infant is bringing to the relationship. And some babies are really easy to read and some are more challenging to read. And that is something that we need to accept as well. But all the parents can do with support in recognizing that. So the impact of using the MBO for parents and practitioners, we know that for practitioners, it deepens their attunement and presence. It gives an opportunity to model reflective capacity for parents. It strengthens the practitioner-parent relationship, and it also supports developmentally sensitive and individualized care. For parents, we often see them begin to see their baby as a little person. They better appreciate their baby's unique competencies and vulnerabilities, and also learn to understand and respond to their baby in a way that meets the baby's unique developmental needs. So I'm sorry for whizzing through that so fast. I'm not even sure how I'm doing. But again, I just want to finish with this really, really important quote. And we have to remember that Dr. Brazelton was writing all of this in the 70s, 60s. It's a long time ago. This knowledge is not new. It's been around for a very long time. And he always had this quote saying, when we strengthen families, we ultimately strengthen the community. We should invest in babies. There's no doubt about it. It will have long-lasting benefits for absolutely everyone. So thank you.